Western Iran, 41 kilometers southeast of Qazvin, 2:12 in the morning. 88 U.S. Army Rangers from the 75th Ranger Regiment were moving on an Iranian underground war room hidden under a truck inspection depot. Inside the compound, 274 Iranian forces were defending the IRGC commander, who controlled reserve brigades and missile convoys on the capital approach. The Rangers had 89 minutes to take him before the road net locked down. The site sat under a concrete yard with a north gate, a west trench, 2 stair towers, and 1 freight elevator. Outside, 104 Iranian forces held towers, roof guns, and roadblocks. Below ground, 170 more guards covered the tunnels and blast halls. Iranian forces carried AK-74 rifles, PKM machine guns, RPG-7 launchers, 2 DSHK guns, and 1 ZU-23-2 gun. They believed concrete, sealed doors, and highway reinforcements made the depot safe until daylight. The U.S. Army Rangers split into 4 assault elements. Alpha element, 24 Rangers, would enter through the west trench and reach the command floor. Bravo element, 20 Rangers, would smash the north gate, clear the truck lanes, and seize both stair towers. Charlie element, 18 Rangers, would breach the generator annex, cut the lights, and jam the freight elevator. Delta element, 26 Rangers, would hold the roads and stop all reinforcements. The Rangers carried M4A1 SOP Mod 2 carbines, MK18 CQBR carbines, MK11 Mod 0 sniper rifles, javelin missiles, Carl Gustaf M3 recoilless rifles, AT4 rockets C4, shaped charges, linear charges, and thermite. At 2:12, the raid started from 4 sides. Delta opened from a drainage bank and 2 machine shops east of the road. MK11 Mod 0 rifles hit the south tower windows. An M24OB machine gun swept the gate lane. Charlie set a linear charge on the generator annex wall. The blast killed the west cameras and blew a hole into the annex. Bravo rushed the north barrier behind smoke. Alpha dropped into the trench and moved toward the service hatch. Iranian forces answered late. The first PKM bursts crossed empty road. At 2:14, Bravo hit the first checkpoint at the truck scale. 3 Iranian forces behind sandbags fired AK-74 rifles. A Ranger with an M249 SAW dropped all 3. 2 more guards ran toward the fuel office and were cut down by M4A1 Sopmadi 2 fire. Charlie crossed the breach and entered the annex. 6 Iranian forces tried to hold the doorway with a PKM machine gun. If this raid is locking you in, hit the like button right now. In the comments, tell me this. Once Charlie gets inside the annex, do Iranian forces still have a real chance to stop the breach, or is the whole defense already starting to fall apart? And if you want more high-pressure U.S. Army missions broken down step by step, subscribe now, because from this point forward, every minute gets worse for the men inside. Now back to the assault. Charlie fired an AT-4 through the frame. Rangers rushed in and smashed the first generator control bank. The underground lights flickered but stayed alive. Alpha reached the service hatch at 2:16. The cover was locked from below. A breacher placed C4 on the hinge side and blew it open. Alpha dropped into a narrow pipe hall lined with tanks and cable runs. 2 Iranian forces appeared at the far bend with RPG-7 launchers. A Ranger with a MK18 CQBR fired first and killed both men. Above ground, Delta saw a pickup carrying 8 Iranian forces racing for the west gate. A Carl Gustaf M3 round hit the engine block. The truck spun into a barrier and burned in the lane. At 2:18, Charlie found the backup switch room behind the first generator bank. The door was locked and blocked with tool chests. A shaped charge tore the latch free. Charlie pushed through and shot 7 signal guards around the panels. 1 Ranger ripped down the main feed line. Half the lower level lost power. Emergency lights came on red. Bravo used the blackout to cross the truck yard. A DSHK heavy machine gun on the admin roof opened up. Bravo slid behind parked tankers. A Ranger fired a javelin into the roof corner. The heavy gun disappeared in the blast. At 2:20, Alpha reached a four-way split in the pipe hall. The center route dropped to the command ring. The right route climbed toward the freight elevator shaft. Alpha sent 6 Rangers right to cut the lift and took the rest down the center. Iranian forces on the lower stairs fired from behind mesh barriers. Alpha answered with Mk-48 Mod 0 fire and folded the barrier. In the yard, Bravo reached the first stair tower. The steel door was chained shut. Date cord blew the lock bar apart. Bravo stormed the stairs and killed 5 Iranian forces on the first landing. At 2:22, Delta reported a larger move from the highway spur. 2 trucks and 1 technical with a DSHK were turning toward the depot. Delta held fire until they reached the bend. Then, the Mk-19 grenade launcher opened. The first truck rolled into the ditch. A javelin hit the technical from 780 meters and split the bed from the cab. Surviving Iranian forces jumped into the culvert and were cut down by M240B fire. Inside, Charlie found the elevator motor room. 4 Iranian forces were trying to weld the emergency brake shut. Charlie shot 2, captured 1, and forced the last man to open the panel. At 2:24, Bravo cleared the second stair tower and linked with Alpha through an underground crossing hall. Iranian forces upstairs still believed the main attack was at the north gate. Iranian forces below ground now faced 2 Ranger elements from different directions. Alpha drove east toward the command ring. Bravo turned south toward the barracks tunnel and records rooms. Charlie cut the freight elevator cables with thermite and jammed the motor track. The cage dropped and locked. Any fast escape through the shaft was gone. At 2:26, Bravo entered the barracks tunnel and took heavy fire. 12 Iranian forces had overturned bunks and file lockers into a wall. 1 bad RPG-7 shot hit the ceiling and filled the tunnel with dust. Bravo stayed low. 2 grenades opened a gap. M4A1, SOP-Mod 2 carbines, and 1 M249 SAW ripped through it. The tunnel was clear in 70 seconds. Alpha reached the outer command ring at the same time. A blast door sealed the main passage. Alpha cut through a side maintenance panel, crawled through the cable void, and came out behind the first defense post. 3 Iranian forces at the control desk died before they turned. At 2:28, Charlie moved from the elevator room into an air intake hall that was not on the depot maps. It ran under the repair shed and into the lower archive sector. Charlie could now reach the command ring from the rear while Alpha pressed from the front and Bravo held the south side. Delta then spotted 14 Iranian forces trying to escape through a rear vehicle shed on dirt bikes. Mk-11 Mod 0 rifle fire hit the shed doors. 2 bikes crashed into each other. The rest never got out. At 2:30, the first counterattack hit Alpha. 16 Iranian forces came through the map room with 2 PKM machine guns and rifle grenades. Alpha let them close to 18 feet. Then a Ranger stepped out with a Mk-48 Mod 0 and cut the center apart. 2 more Rangers hit the flanks with Mk-18 CQBR carbines. The counterattack died in under a minute. Alpha entered the map room and grabbed 9 movement charts. Bravo found 4 bound Iranian technicians in detention cells beside the records office. Bravo zip-tied them and kept moving. At 2:32, Charlie reached the rear archive lane and checked the next blast flap with a fiber camera. 13 Iranian forces were building a second barricade around rolling shelves. 2 Rangers climbed the archive racks and dropped behind the defenders. The rest of Charlie hit from the front with flash charges. The lane was taken in 50 seconds. 1 Iranian officer tried to burn root books. A Ranger shot him and saved 11 folders. Outside, Delta caught 19 Iranian forces in 2 civilian vans. A Carl Gustav M 3-round hit the lead van. The second reversed into Mk-19 bursts. At 2:34, Alpha and Charlie were 1 corridor from the central war room. Bravo moved back north and sealed the barracks tunnel. Iranian forces still held 1 strong belt around the command chamber, the signals vault, and the commander's private shelter. The 14 guards in body armor held it with AK-74 rifles and PKM machine guns. Alpha tried the front bend and took sharp fire. Charlie placed a shaped charge on a side cable wall. The blast punched a hole into the chamber flank. Charlie threw 2 flash charges through it. Alpha hit the front at the same second. At 2:36, the command chamber broke open. 7 guards died near the central table. 3 staff officers tried to run into the signals vault. Bravo cut them off and seized 5 encrypted laptops. The IRGC commander was gone. A dead guard carried lift keys and a route card marked Shelter Red. Iranian forces had moved the commander through a tram tunnel below the archive sector to a lower shelter near the quarry face. The Rangers changed direction. Alpha led the chase. Charlie stripped hard drives from the radio racks. Bravo turned west toward the tram access. At 2:38, Delta intercepted the last organized outside push. 3 flatbed trucks and 1 armored bulldozer came from the quarry road with 31 Iranian forces. The bulldozer tried to break the north wall. Delta put a javelin into the engine housing. The machine stopped and burned. MK-19 rounds smashed the first truck bed. The second truck unloaded 9 Iranian forces into a drainage ditch. Delta pinned them there with M240B machine gun fire. Inside, Alpha reached the tram hatch. The key worked, but the door was chained from the far side. Date cord blew the chain apart. Alpha dropped into the ramp. At 2:40, the lower shelter tunnel became the last major fight. It was tight and dark. Iranian forces fired from knee-high barriers made from rail parts and ammo crates. Though Bravo brought up a ballistic shield and pushed with Alpha behind it. Charlie came through a parallel maintenance crawl and struck from the left. 1 bodyguard tried to fire an RPG-7 down the passage. A Ranger with an MK-11 Mod 0 shot him before he could trigger it. The shield team reached the final door. C4 blew the locking wheel off. Rangers hit the room from 2 openings. At 2:42, the IRGC commander was in the quarry shelter with 9 bodyguards and 3 communications officers. The room held secure radios, map cases, sat phones, and 2 trunks of code books. 4 bodyguards died near the table. 2 were wounded and dragged down. The commander tried to reach a maintenance ladder behind a folding screen. Charlie cut him off. Alpha pulled him down, searched him, and zip-tied his wrists. Bravo seized 2 satellite phones, 6 sealed binders, 11 code cards, and 8 hard drives. At 2:44, Iranian forces still held broken pockets in the upper admin rooms, the east office block, and 1 truck bay above the command chamber. Bravo moved back to the upper floor with 8 Rangers to crush the last resistance. Alpha searched the commander's aides and moved the prisoners toward the west trench route. Charlie placed thermite on the tram motor, server racks, and switch cabinets in the lower shelter. Delta warned that another 22 Iranian forces were coming in 2 pickups from the old barracks road. Delta stopped the first with MK-11 Mod 0 rifle fire through the windshield and burned the second with an AT-4 at the gate curve. At 2:46, Bravo met the final hard resistance in the repair shed above the tunnel mouth. 15 Iranian forces had regrouped behind axle stacks, oil drums, and 1 PKM machine gun pointed through a forklift frame. A Ranger fired a Carl Gustav M3 round through the shed wall. The blast dropped the PKM gunner. Bravo rushed the opening. 8 Iranian forces died where they stood. 4 were wounded and surrendered. 3 tried to run across the yard. Delta caught them from the roofline. Organized resistance inside the compound was broken. At 2:48, the demolition phase began. Charlie fired the thermite in the lower shelter. White heat cut through radios, control boards, and server cages. Alpha planted C4 on the tram junction, the shelter door frame, and the lower signal trunk. Bravo rigged the repair shed fuel pumps, the north stair tower, and the truck scale office. The captured commander and 2 aides moved out under Alpha Guard. 4 bound technicians came behind Bravo. Delta kept firing short warning bursts whenever a car touched the approach road. Iranian forces outside no longer pushed hard. At 2:50, extraction started by element. Alpha went first through the west trench with the commander, the code cases, and 8 hard drives. Charlie followed with the binders, laptops, and 4 captured staff men. Bravo came last from the north yard after setting the final timer under the stair tower. Delta peeled off its road positions in pairs and kept one M24OB machine gun aimed at the highway bend until every Ranger was outside the wire. 6 seconds after Bravo cleared the scale house, the first charges detonated underground. By 3 o'clock, 4 UH-60 Blackhawks were down on a gravel strip 1 kilometer west of the depot. Charlie loaded the seized material. At 3:04, the helicopters lifted as more Iranian forces reached the depot from the south. At 3:07, the lower shelter collapsed into the tram tunnel. At 3:11, the repair shed fuel point ignited. At 3:16, Iranian forces entered the yard in strength and found the stairs blown, the command floor dead, the shelter buried, and the commander gone. U.S. Army Rangers lost 4 killed and 11 wounded. Iranian forces lost 93 killed, 71 wounded, and 22 captured. The Rangers seized the IRGC commander, 2 aides, 8 hard drives, 6 sealed binders, 11 code cards, 5 encrypted laptops, and 2 satellite phones. They destroyed the underground war room, the lower shelter, the tram junction, 2 generator control banks, the freight elevator, 3 server racks, 2 DSHK guns, 1 ZU-23-2 gun, 3 trucks, 2 vans, 1 technical, and 1 armored bulldozer. With damage estimated at $196 million, Iranian forces believed the depot could hold until daylight behind concrete, steel, and road reinforcements. Instead, 88 U.S. Army Rangers split the defense, took the commander alive, and erased the command center before the outer ring could recover. Iranian forces had walls, guns, doors, and numbers. What they did not have was 88 U.S. Army Rangers willing to break the whole system in 89 minutes.